Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the possibility of the Washington football team trading for Calvin Ridley, if I think it's possible, and how much I would give up to go after someone like Calvin Ridley, because Washington needs some more playmakers on offense, and Calvin Ridley is definitely a playmaker. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. It really helps out the channel a ton. And also go ahead and follow my Twitter, link is in the description, also on the screen right there, trying to get to 1,000 followers. Now let's get right into the video. And before I talk about it, I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section below. Do you even want to trade for Calvin Ridley? And if so, what is the maximum you are willing to give up? I'll talk about that in today's video. So first, let's get into, the news in general. So there was a report coming out from Steve Weiss that says he thinks Calvin Ridley's future with the Falcons is in jeopardy and that both sides could be looking for a fresh start. So if that is true, there's going to be a lot of teams on the market for a receiver like Calvin Ridley. He's young and he's produced so far in his NFL career. You look at his stats right now. In 2018, his rookie year, 64 catches, 821 yards, 10 touchdowns. Next year, didn't do too much more, but he missed 3 games, had 866 yards and 7 touchdowns. The next year, breakout year, 1,374 yards and 9 touchdowns. And then this year, he only played in 5 games, had 31 catches, 281 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had he played for the first 5 games, a little bit underwhelming, and then he had to take a break. He said he had some mental health issues, and he hasn't played the whole rest of the season, so he wants a fresh start with the Falcons and wants a new team, I guess, and we'll see if it ends up happening this offseason. In my opinion, Calvin Ridley is kind of in the same class as Terry McLaurin. I personally think Terry McLaurin is better. You look at his stats, Calvin Ridley, 821 yards and 866, then his breakout year in 2020 with 1,374 yards. So somewhat similar stats to Terry McLaurin. Obviously, his best year is better than Terry's best year, but Terry's been in the league for 1 less year. And obviously, the quarterback situations are drastically different. Matt Ryan right now isn't as good, obviously, as he was 2, 3, 4 years ago, but he's still a solid NFL quarterback, much better than what we've had in Terry McLaurin's first 3 years. And in 2018, Matt Ryan was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, 2018, 2019. So he's had good quarterback play. And if Terry had Matt Ryan for the last 3 years of his career, I think his numbers would be much higher than they are. But still, nonetheless, I think Calvin Ridley's a good receiver. He's younger than Terry McLaurin, and you're going to have to give up a decent amount for Calvin Ridley, but, it might be a little bit discounted just depending on, the uncertainty of his future. Does he even want to play? He took pretty much almost a full year off of football, or at least a full season off, is going to miss 12 games this year because of his mental health. So maybe some teams aren't willing to give up as much because they don't know if he, is going to want to play football for the next 6, 7 years of his career. We'll see about that. But, Washington's offense is lacking another playmaker. Terry McLaurin obviously is great. Gibson has his moments, the 2 biggest things with Gibson is fixing those, fumbling issues, and then also the injuries. He gets injured a ton. He plays through a lot of it, but still, this year, just like 3 different injuries, the hip, shoulder, shin injury. So that's something with Gibson. Logan Thomas is great. He's not like a big playmaker. Like, he's not going to get you a big play like a 30, 40 yard, catch. And not a lot of tight ends do, but he is, I don't think we need an upgrade at the tight end position. But, Curtis Samuel, are we going to be able to rely on him next year? I would hope so, but you can't count on it because, I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. Even though he did it in Carolina, his first year in Washington, he hasn't been able to do it. And then De'Ami Brown, can't count on him. Anything he does next year is an added bonus. We'll see. Maybe he does ball out next year, but we can't count on it. So I would think it's a good idea to at least add another receiver. Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, these guys, Devontae Adams, are kind of in the upper echelon of our options, and it's going to be a long shot to get them because Washington is going to want to extend Terry McLaurin, and if you're going to pay him what I think is going to be the market, which is probably around $20 million a year, which is what a lot of the top receivers are getting. Amari Cooper got that, and Terry's probably going to get that, maybe even more. And I don't know if you want to pay him and then Calvin Ridley next off season, if you want to do that as well, because they're both their contracts end right at the same time. So I don't know if you want to do that, because that's a lot of money tied in the position. If you think about McLaurin, Ridley, and Curtis Samuel, that's probably going to be $55-60 million combined per year just tied into that one position, and that is a lot. So I don't know if they're going to want to do that, but I think it's definitely an option if you can get them for a low price. I would definitely try to do it, but this is where I thought his value was way overblown. And I love Tan Todd podcast, but this is what they said: Sweat and a third for Calvin Ridley. Who says no? I was like, I'm saying a big no right there. There is no chance at all I would ever even think about doing that. And these players are not in the same, class, or they're not the same caliber players as these two were. But if you go back a long time ago, not sure what year, but then Washington Redskins traded Champ Bailey, and I think it was a second round pick for Clinton Portis. Champ Bailey turned out to be a Hall of Fame cornerback, and he was already good on Washington. And Clinton Portis was great for us, but obviously cornerback much more important than the running back position. And we also threw in a second round pick. This is the exact same thing that's happening here. Sweat has been he's missed a bunch of games this year, but still has been productive when he's been playing. And a third round pick for Calvin Ridley? Heck no, I would not do this at all. There's zero chance I would do that. You can see this, my comment right here. I wouldn't even do Sweat for Calvin Ridley. Sweat's value is more than Calvin Ridley. Not only are they the kind of the same caliber of players, but, Montez Sweat plays a much more important position than Calvin Ridley does, and Montez Sweat is, I think he's got more potential, and there's less uncertainty with his future. So I think, I would try to save the D lineman for a quarterback if you're going to trade for a quarterback, but I would consider throwing in someone and I would be hesitant because Daron Payne's been good for us, but I would throw in maybe just Daron Payne and maybe like a fourth or fifth rounder, because I kind of value Daron Payne as like a second or third rounder. So the max I'm giving up for Calvin Ridley is the value of a second round pick, and even that is stretching it a bit, because if you think about it, he's only going to be under contract for this year. So you're going to have to bank on being able to extend him, and he's a good player, but he's definitely not worth a second round pick if you're just getting him for 1 year. So if I'm trading for him and I'm giving up a second round pick, I'm pretty much making sure that he's going to want to be here for the next few years before I even agree to the trade. But this, not even close, and I wouldn't even really want to trade a D lineman for a receiver, but if it came down to it, Ioannidis or Payne, I would be able to do it because we do have the depth at that position. But someone like Sweat, who's an edge rusher, who's been pretty good. Last year he had 10 sacks and a few forced fumbles. This year I think it was like 5 or 6, but he missed obviously 5 something games like that, or 4, around like 3 or 4 games with that jaw injury, and then has missed the last 2 because of the passing of his brother. Unfortunate news right there, and also because of the virus as well. So he, in my opinion, much more valuable than someone like Calvin Ridley, and I just would not do that trade, especially when you're also throwing in a third round pick. there's no reason to do that in my opinion. And I know a lot of people don't like our our wide receiver core right now, and there's definitely some questions right there. We have talent. Obviously, Terry's an absolute beast. We have Curtis Samuel, who's done it before. I mean, the thing with Curtis Samuel is, he really didn't have that many an injury history with the Panthers. I think his first year a little bit, but the next 3 years he was pretty much, barely missed time, and he was productive as well. And this year when he's on the field, he wasn't too productive, but you really can't take anything away from that because he played like 80 snaps in 5 games. Like, that's less than 20 snaps per game. So I think next year Curtis Samuel will be good for us, and just got to bank on him staying healthy, and that's a big if. But if he's able to stay healthy, I think that alone will take our receiving core to the next level. And then add Cam Sims. I think we should bring him back, but not only bring him back, but involve him more, especially if guys are injured. He should be playing much more than he did last year or this year. I tweeted this yesterday, replied to someone when they said Cam Sims should have been playing more, and I totally agree. Cam Sims, in my opinion, is a rotational receiver on a good receiving core. This year, though, especially with Curtis Samuel out, Dyami Brown underperforming, our wide receiver core was not good. So he should not have been playing like 5-7 snaps a game and barely getting any targets. I mean, in the middle of the season, he never got targeted. And, he was probably our third best receiver this year, second, third best receiver. I'm not sure. He should have gotten way more targets. So that's one thing. Next year, if, our wide receiving core, is struggling next year, injuries or whatever it is, get Cam Sims more involved. But even if our receiving core is good next year, I would like to bring Cam Sims back. He's like a good fourth receiver on a good receiving core. So bringing him back would be good. And, we could go after someone in free agency. I would rather go after, a veteran guy who, someone like Allen Robinson. I think you can get them for much cheaper this offseason. Had a huge down year, but he's a veteran. You know what you're going to get out of him. If he's able to play, most of the season, he's going to be solid for you. Bring a solid veteran presence to the locker room. He's good friends with Charles Leno, who we just extended. So someone like that would be good. Another option, much younger, would be Mike Williams. But those, again, these are costly moves. And if we're going to re-sign Terry, again, don't know if you're going to have, I don't know if it would be smart to put all that money into your wide receiving core. So maybe the better option, if you're going to go after a big name receiver, is doing it in the draft in the first or second round. And I'm not a huge fan of doing that, especially a first round guy. But if you have to do it, you can go ahead and do it, because our offense, the big issue is quarterback, but, we also do lack the playmakers, and part of that's, injuries, but also, that's part of the deal. You got to be able to stay healthy. So I think we should try to get at least one more receiver this year. I do think Dyami Brown will be better next year, and I think Curtis Samuel will be an impact player, but again, can't bank on it. So let me know down below in the comments section what you would give up for Ridley, and do you even want to trade for him? I would trade for him, but again, the max I would give up is a second round pick, and even that for me is a lot for a guy that's entering his final year and, has some uncertainty about his future. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button, turn on those notifications so you never miss a video, and peace, guys.